So David, there are a lot of things going on. I mean, I see that you say you're retired, but you're still owner of a consulting business. And
I do.
don't know if you're ever retired, but.
Exactly.
But why do this? You know?
I think District 3 is important. It contains downtown, both universities, a lot of the historic districts, and I think we need better representation, frankly. We need someone to focus on the needs of the community, small business, residents. I think there are a lot of infrastructure things that we need fixing. We have some particular problems financially. I think our budget's getting a little bit out of control. As Mr. Stevens can tell you, we've got some pension issues that I think really need to be addressed straight on, and I'm not sure some of that's happening.
I got a feeling he might ask you a question about that. But,
Okay.
You did? Okay. Well, Clint, you want to go first?
Yes, as long as we're on the topic, Clint, go ahead.
Subject. So, in your answer, you emphasize community policing and getting police more involved in the neighborhood. And I've talked to you a little bit in the past about, some of the challenges that the department's face, and pension included.
Sure.
So, what have you done to educate yourself about those issues, and what steps are you willing to take to get it resolved?
Well, obviously, you and I have met on this once. I've talked extensively to city management, to Brian and to Dan, who are on this, and I have to admit that I don't really understand what the history of the apparent antipathy, I would say, between the GMPA and the city is, and I think we need to step past that. We need to find a way to come to common ground, because I tell you, sometimes I talk to you about it, I talk to other members of the police force, I talk to people of the city. Sometimes I question whether we're asking the same questions, whether we really have the same concerns. I grew up in a union household. I'm a firm believer in unions, and pension is a deal we make with employees the day they're hired. It's not optional. It's something we need to fix. We owe the police the money. We owe that pension fund the money, and we need to find a path forward to doing that. I don't know if we can do it next year, but it may take us 10 years to fix it, but we need to have a path forward to do that. And like I say, I've been meeting with anybody who'll talk to me about this topic.
Yeah, one of your responses to the question in the questionnaire was about whether you favor the Ike Dike or the coastal spine concept. And what you say here is that you truly favor the ring levy for the city of Galveston. Why is that?
If you look at the pictures right now, from what I can tell, the Army Corps is going through 4 scenarios, and where the Ike Dike is, the coastal levee, the spine, whatever you call it, is going to land. Every one of them has a ring written around Galveston, because if we put it in the front, we've still got backwater problems. If we put it down 3005, we have issues down there. The problem, it seems to me, isn't that water comes over the seawall. I think it's pretty obvious. The water comes in from the bay side. And we can protect the entirety of the coast by cutting Galveston off completely from the sea, which I don't think is a particularly good idea. If we need to protect the city. We need to protect its business and its homes and all of that. Some of the pictures I've seen of the ring levee don't thrill me either, going down Harbor Side and leaving everything on the other side of it exposed to the water, going down 61st Street, leaving an enormous piece of our tax base out of it down there. So, that it leaves A&M exposed. I challenge anybody to walk Harborside, get to UTMB, and explain to me how we're going to get one side of the yacht basin on a dike and Fish Village on the other. And so I don't see a plan that would protect Galveston, and I'm not sure just saying, a dike, we'll just put a dike in front of the whole thing, is going to do the trick.
Then why is it that you say that the levee can and should be built now, regardless of the plan for the Ike Dike? Is that your stand on the project?
Even the Army Corps, I'm saying, if you look at the pictures that the Army Corps published, the things I've seen, they're 2 different things. They recognize that Galveston isn't really protected, because we have to protect Galveston from both sides. You can protect a lot of the industry with a single wall. You can protect a lot of the mainland that way, but Galveston's just different. So I'm not the least bit opposed to the concept of the Ike Dike, but we're talking $12–14 billion, not to mention just the environmental aspects and so forth. that's a 20, 25-year project. We need to start thinking locally about how we protect Galveston primarily. I'm not terribly worried about the petrochemical industry. You know, they've got more economic and political power than any of us here have. You know, I'm concerned about how we protect the city, and I'm talking about everything from 7 Mile Road to the ferry landing. How do we, you know, including Pelican Island and A&M, how do we get our arms around that? Is that?
Yeah, no answers. It's an answer.
I'd be more than happy to talk about it offline. I'm
Glad to.
okay, good.
So, District 3, what do you see are the most, the main things you'd like to see accomplished there? And then may I ask you about Holiday Drive? And as I understand, it is not funded at all for any repairs. It is a mess.
As far as I can see, Holiday Drive is way down on that capital improvements plan
So
someplace.
why?
And that's, you know, there are, I sort of complain generically that we've just passed a $65 million bond, and nothing is dedicated to infrastructure east of 18th Street. Now, it's not to say that the 18th Street improvements are trivial. It's $12 million. We're going to put new drains under there and hopefully connect them back to 16th, 17th, that, you know, because it's all a big network. And we're improving that network and making that bigger. But, you know, we still have streets that just stand in water. If 2-inch rain, never mind a storm, you know, 2 inches of rain and 16th and Ball is underwater. That's true in several places in Fish Village. I think that's key, that we address that. Sidewalks. I'm very concerned about what I consider the inconsistent approach the city takes to sidewalks. People get in a wheelchair, get halfway down a street, find there's no curb cut, and have to turn around and go back to the end of the block and take their wheelchair down the middle of the street because we don't have a plan for sidewalks. And safe walkable neighborhoods is the #1 thing on my list. And Holiday Drive, it's its own. I don't know what the problem over there is. I don't know why the city won't address that. I mean, it's everybody in Fish Village goes down that. Everybody at UTMB goes down that. It's, you know, it's a major connector to Harborside. You know, I would try to bump that up in priority because I've had a lot of people complain to me about that. We've got sinkholes forming over there.
So I've had the opportunity to participate in this format for a number of elections, and we see candidates make promises, and so as an incumbent, you may get in there and what you expect it to be is different, and you may get totally sidetracked. So
Easy to imagine, you know, because it's only one vote on council, you know, and a lot of what happens, even at council, happens well before, Carolyn can tell you about this, a lot of it happens internally, administratively, before it gets to council. You know, and you have projects that, you've done a wonderful job of pressing the neighborhood projects forward. A lot of things have happened in Carolyn's district that wouldn't have happened if she hadn't taken the advocacy to go after those individual projects. You know, and I don't know that neighborhood projects is how we get Holiday repaved, but
it shouldn't have to.
I-
Can I ask just one more question? I don't want to monopolize,
Sure.
but why should I vote for you over the incumbent?
I'm not real crazy about the idea of dissing Frank and his service to the city. I mean, you know, he's done what he's done. But Frank's missed a lot of meetings. He asked to be appointed to the Landmark Commission, then made less than 50% of the meetings. You know, whereas I have been to all these meetings for the last 2 years. I wanted to demonstrate not just to constituents, but to myself, that I was willing to put in the time and the effort. I've been to every council meeting, every workshop, every Landmark meeting, every planning commission meeting. I'm now going to all the IDC meetings, once I've finally figured out that's where the real money is distributed around here. You know, I'm dedicated to being responsive. I go to community meetings. I talk to people, and I talk back to them afterwards.
I think Eric had a question on housing.
Eric?
Oh, what's your position on scattered site housing?
Well, what aspect of it? I have long complained that the way we fund public housing in Galveston and in America is next to a criminal conspiracy. I mean, it's just, we put enormous amounts of money out. And, you know, we're 10 years away from Ike. And we have, you know, we're not even halfway there in building it. I would like to see more scattered site housing in my district. We have just slumlord little infill things that were slapped up in the 60s that have completely deteriorated. I think there'd be perfect opportunities to go in there, scrape that, and build something nice, something neighborhood appropriate in there that, you know, that serves as affordable housing. You know, we're not talking about housing poor people. We're talking about decent housing for working people, working class people who cannot afford to live on this island. And, you know, our tax base depends on the people who get up and go to work every morning. Clint could probably speak to some of this. We have a lot of our police force that does not live on this island because they simply can't afford it. You know, so I'm a fan of a business or a social safety net in that way. And so I have no problem with. I see the button there. I know you work for Mays, and I may. I've had some conversations with Macy, and I disagree on a number of things, but you know, but I know he's a strong supporter of business, and I think that's key to helping maintain a robust workforce in Galveston.
So would you support a voucher system, like a voucher for the other housing?
Well, again, there's two different kinds of vouchers. You know, you have vouchers that are attached to the house and vouchers, the opportunity vouchers that allow somebody to leave the island. I'm a fan of those. The key to having public housing, though, is that if you just turn everybody loose with a Section 8 housing voucher and there's no Section 8 housing available, and we don't call it Section 8 anymore, but if you don't have those properties available, then that voucher is useless. So, you know, we dedicate a certain amount of housing space to that. So the answer is I am in favor of a voucher system that allows people to move around, but something that guarantees that we have a certain level of affordable housing in Galveston.
Bruce?
The studies have shown that the tourism industry impacts locals in many ways. The reduction in our sales tax, in our property taxes is one. And many of the tourism industry employees live here on the island, and we're all talking about making sure that people live on the island. Yet the residents that may or may not realize that they're involved in the industry or benefit from it tend to, those darn tourists, you know, and we talk about the traffic. What would you think is a solution to bridging that gap, and how would you try to make sure that the local citizens realize the importance of tourism and how it affects them? And what's your take on how it affects them?
Well, I don't know that people don't understand how important tourism is. It obviously it comes with you know, its own set of issues, traffic not being the least among them. My friends in Fish Village complain continually about people cutting through Fish Village, always thinking they're going to find some secret way into the ferry line, and it's not going to happen, you know. So, you know, we have problems with traffic downtown. If we're going to have 7 million visits this year, we need to find a way to deal with traffic, and I think that's the number one thing. I think if we deal with traffic issues in a rational way, I think a lot of what you're talking about, that disparity between what they benefit from and what the issues that they see, is going to go away. That we need adequate parking on the seawall. We need adequate parking somewhere close to downtown. You know, we're doing all this rebuilding out Market Street. I think there's a perfect opportunity to put some serious parking down there and use the trolley buses. They've been very successful on the seawall, moving people around. You know, use the steel wheel trolleys to move people back and forth from the seawall to downtown. Get people out of their cars. Make it obvious to people from Houston and elsewhere that they can come here, park, find that little red bus out there, move around town all they want, leave that car there all day. You know, whether it's free or it costs them $10, I don't know. But, you know, essentially, if you get people out of the cars, I think a lot of that problem will go away.
5 minutes. Steve?
I have a port question for you, and reading your response about the potential expansion of the port, and it looks like you haven't made up your mind, because you will, if I'm reading this correctly, you want to see a plan.
I think.
And my question is, and you talk about traffic, so I have a funny feeling that if you're elected, one of the first things you're going to have put in front of you is a decision on port expansion.
It's likely to happen. That's exactly right.
So what's your thoughts on that, and how are you gonna react to that?
Again, what are we talking about when we say port expansion? You know, we say develop the port. Are we talking about new containers at 10th Street? I hope not, because I don't want to see another 100 trucks going up and down Harborside every day. But I did have this conversation with Roger Rees, and he's helping change my mind on the cruise business. Not that I'm opposed to it, I just really want to see some harder numbers, because we keep talking about the value of the cruise business, and parking comes up as one of the major revenue streams. You know, is that where we're making money? Are we making money at the wharf? It's not clear to me. You know, and I'm not sure it's clear to a lot of people. Royal Caribbean wants to bring a 6,500 passenger ship in here, and Del Monte's not going to be gone by the. We can't move Del Monte in the time it's going to take to make that happen. But if we go down to 10th Street, maybe there is a way. You know, we can build down there. We can dock that ship. We can build the port facilities. You know, if you've ever been to Lauderdale or Canaveral, is probably a better example. When you're driving there, just like driving into the airport, it says, you know, Royal Caribbean this way, this way. You know, it's we don't have that. And if we're going to put another 6,500 passengers at 10th Street, we're going to need a plan on Harborside. You know, we're going to need some turn lanes. We're going to need to decide how to deal with that. We're going to need to build a 2,000 car garage down there. And Roger has shown me that we can do that. We can guarantee the business. We can make it profitable. But, you know, this is all going to take planning. It's going to take, we're going to have to reach back to the feds, back to TxDOT, because you're putting 20,000 people on and off ships on a Saturday. You know, the Harborside starts to look this wide.
BJ has the last question.
David, exactly what is your district? Because the way Galveston's set up, so many people are scattered all over. Does your district go from
Friendswood, all the way from Friendswood, Friendswood South.
Does your district include the condos down at East Beach?
Yes. District 3, it's pretty simple. It's everything east of 25th Street, north of Broadway, plus Pelican Island and East Beach. Because of the way census tracts run, there's nobody who lives that side of the seawall, but oddly, Pleasure Pier is in District 3. So Mario's on the seawall is not, but the Emerald and McDonald's are.
All the attractions or just out?
This just the attraction, yeah.
What, or then, that it includes downtown, what is your idea about being able to give some kind of concessions to people on the parking situation? You know, we have the parking passes up on the seawall, and people always say, why can't we have a similar type thing for the downtown area?
I would like to see, I know we have different parking silos because of the beach and downtown and so forth. I would like, but people complain about this going to, out to Pelican Island to fish, you know, going to East Beach to fish, that kind of thing. I'd like to see us find a way to come up with a resident pass, you know, the way we use garbage service and that sort of thing. You know, go show your water bill and you can get a sticker for your window, so that you can, you know, make an easy annual pass for residents.
On the seawall, I mean,
Yeah.
I pay my $25 a year and all that, so whether anybody, probably would have to be open to
You
anyone.
have to open it to everyone because
Everyone.
it's
Yeah, because of yours.
discrimination.
Yeah, on the seawall, you certainly would.
I mean, you would have no problem investigating, hopefully, a situation that people in general, you know, you pay so much stuff, like you do on the seawall.
I would have no problem with that at all.
David, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.